Today, I want to talk to you about using AI, but before I go into that, I would like to set some context around how to write very good CV and also what a very good essay looks like before we then now go more practically into using AI. The reason this is extremely important is you need to know what something good is like before you start engaging AI so that when it gives you something that doesn't look like it, you can be able to prompt it in the direction that you want it to go. So I'm going to give some context around that CV and essay writing, and then before we now go into the AI. More specifically, within the context of this AI conversation, I'm going to be showing you my thought process around how I create CVs that are really very outstanding and how I have been supporting other people to do exactly the same. I'm going to be showing you how I use like two to like three AIs together just to like combine them to like get different perspective to ensure that I'm maximizing all of my chances and I'm not leaving any stone untouched. We'll be trying to look at some projects for some of you who don't have sufficient project experiences, and we can, go around thinking about things like that. I'll be showing you how I also like think around like interview analysis with AI, and then more importantly, using the case study that I created just to like get some feedback from AI and how to optimize your chances. So let's talk about CV. Assuming that this is a CV that somebody on this call has, you have some experiences working in a role in fraud, and then you're trying to like apply for this business analysis role. Many looking at this, do we think this would be a very good CV even without the help of AI? Of course, I don't think it would be a very strong CV to like use for a B application. But of course, maybe if you're applying to an environment, say they are building a fraud case management system, or you're applying to like a consulting firm where, for example, they are trying to do something around fraud. Maybe they might think your experiences in fraud are important, and you might be able to have some perspective within that project context. But again, the whole thing boils down to maybe, and you don't want to leave anything to chances because just merely looking at these, the skill set being projected, the experiences, being, talked about in this place, they don't look like something that might give you a very good advantage within the competitive pool of business analysis applications. The same thing is if you've worked all of your life within a supply chain role, and then you are using this exact CV without changing anything on it to apply for a business analysis job. Again, if you're applying to say supply chain management company where they want to like deploy you to support maybe in some bit of business analysis, they might think, well, since this person has some bit of experiences around supply chain, maybe they might be a good candidate. But it all things still boils down to the word maybe. Again, this doesn't look like a very strong CV with respect to like a business analysis application. And the final one is assuming that this is your current BA CV, you've worked in some bit of business analysis role and then you're trying to shoot some applications. Would this CV without changing anything about it make you be an outstanding candidate? Of course, it shows that you have some bit of business analysis experiences, but overall, from what I'm seeing here, it doesn't look like a very strong CV within my own just quick judgment. So what then do we do if we really want to like create advantage for ourselves in this very competitive business analysis space? Three things I've seen people do. Number one is they tell lies about their experiences, which is not something I want anybody on this call to do. Number two is that they look at that experience that they have, whether they work in the customer advisor role or they work in fraud, then try to look for things that might be related to business analysis and spotlight that. And that's a way to really like call out something strong in their CV that might catch the interest or the attention of a recruiter. The last is to revamp entirely, and that involves like doing all things different to be able to like get cognate and relevant experiences and then working on interesting projects that might really give you some bit of advantage within that context. So as a rule of principle in terms of like creating a CV, I believe that some things are really important for you to spotlight: your experiences, your education, skills, and there are any other additional information you want to write. Looking at the career summary, for example, when you are trying to write a career summary, like I mentioned, career summary is something you want to show in your CV. I believe personally that there are some five things that it needs to like reflect. The reason this is important is so that when you are using AI and it generates something for you that this is a career summary you should have on your CV, you can look at it and feel like this is missing. Can you include this? Or that is not relevant. Can you exclude it? I like to show these 5 things within context of my own CV when I'm trying to like apply for a job. If there's any experience I have, especially for roles that are specific, calling out the number to just experience they want you to have, the industry that I've worked in, if I feel they are relevant to the job I'm applying to, specific skills I have, proficiencies, and of course, if there are any certification that I have, I like to call them out. Just pacing that in with an example of what I'm talking about, I feel like this makes a good career summary. And so that when you're prompting AI, you can be able to say number of years of experience where that is necessary for you to show, specifically for roles that are very big on you, saying the number of years of experience that you have, talking about the industries you've worked in. If you're trying to like, apply for a role in finance, it might be relevant for you to say you've had some bit of experiences working within that finance capacity or industry. You want to talk about what outcomes you've driven before, what tools you know how to use, and all of those different things. It's also a time for you to also call out some tools you know how to use, even though there will still be a different section of your CV where you can mention that. But at a snapshot, somebody can look at it and be able to like have an idea of who you are, something compelling, concise, and also touching on all the important things it should be addressing. As a rule, too, there's this business analysis teaching competence, which I know many of us on this call would also like be very much aware of. It's a way for me to say that for whatever it is I'm trying to write on my CV, I need to ensure that there's a reflection of all of these different competencies, slightly spread across different aspects of my CV. Because that way, I'm able to like show I'm a balanced candidate who has very strong personal qualities, business knowledge, and I know how to use my professional techniques effectively. Just knowing how to sprinkle them effectively on that CV, I think it's something that would make a lot of sense. These are also things you want to consider how to like apply maybe somewhere along your CV so that it's able to like show that you know techniques, principles, tools, and you have some technical skills that are in demand and necessary for you to spotlight. The reason I'm saying this is so that when you are using AI, you know what good looks like, you know some things that should be present on your CV. And when you don't see them, you can't be able to say that this is absent and I would like to include this into that. Might need to know that some of the training data, for example, because it's not specifically designed that it would be a business analysis tool in that sense. So it might not have that core expertise of really creating something very compelling for business analysis. But you having some of this background knowledge are things that really help you in terms of like doing something exceptional for your CV. In terms of describing the experiences on your CV, there are two ways people always talk about describing those experiences. Number one is the traditional way of talking about your experiences, and then the project-based approach, which I believe is something that is more prominent right now and more people are using and has been yielding a lot of results. So this is what it means by traditional, where you just talk about a role you have, where you've worked, and just listing out those experiences in bullet points without talking about any project you've done or spotlighting any key remarkable projects or engagement or innovation or transformation that you've been a part of. The project-based approach essentially is talking about you zooming in on a particular company, and then if there are relevant projects you worked on, you use this space to like give some context around that project before then listing out the responsibilities and things you've done there. And so if all of your life you've only had one single business analysis experience, the rest are in rules that are not so applicable. Within that single business analysis experience that you have, you can really focus in and zoom in on it and call out 1 to 2, 3 projects you've done that are really relevant to the job you're applying to, and then focus on that and really elaborate, exceedingly on that. If you also work in any other sectors, but in a different role, and there is a project you've been a part of, whether you were consulted in some ways or your opinion was sought, or you were responsible for a tiny bit of the deliverables, it might also like be a good time for you to also like focus on that project and then list out the responsibility, particularly from a business analysis perspective. The reason this is important is that so that when we are telling AI to revamp our CVs for us, there's something we have at the back of our mind that might need to talk about a project I've done before and then be able to then list out the experiences afterwards. And so aside from using AI, there are some other ways people also like go about it, which is like looking at a few jobs and then maybe like copying out the job descriptions and then spending your time to adapt and adopt some of the ones you think might be relevant to your own context. And what I've noticed within the financial services, particularly in the UK, is that they have their own style and sort of like capabilities they are looking for. So when you spend some time just looking at some of the roles within financial services, for example, you might be able to like see specific skills, tools that they want you to mention. And when you are using AI, you are able to refer back to some of those things so that they are shown on your CV. The point I'm just trying to make is that we need to have some bit of background knowledge in terms of what good looks like. So now when we are using the AI, we might be able to prompt it effectively. Just like also like add to that is when I'm writing my CV generally, I like to like look at all of the different aspects of business analysis and ensure that things that are relevant are effectively represented. For example, nobody probably needs to ask you to talk about agile before you need to know that there should be something in my CV talking about having experiences in agile. And when we talk about experiences in agile, we know that there are some vocabularies we want to see, from like participating in stand-ups to retro to like doing estimation, planning to book, writing stories and acceptance criteria, or grooming of backlog or any of those different things. Having the awareness of some of the right vocabularies with respect to agile really helps you ensure that when you are using the AI, things that are relevant and you want to see and you need to see, right, they are showing in that. And the same thing with respect to our requirements management. Nobody really needs to like tell you that this job requires you gathering requirement before you know that as a BA, having knowledge of requirement engineering is something that is really essential. And the way to depict that is just in the vocabularies you show within the writing of your CV, from like talking about prioritization to NFR, so your business rules, to like talking about validations, all of those different things that talking about you have knowledge of requirement, use cases, model diagram, and all of those different things. And the same thing with talking about strategic analysis frameworks with respect to business analysis, things like VIMO, SWOT, talking about CATO, value chain analysis, all of those different things are things that need to like be represented. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is I'll show you when we get to that part, because when we're trying to write those job experiences, whatever I write in my first job experience, I don't want the AI to repeat the same thing in my second job experience. So I want things to be unique. And the way you can ensure that uniqueness is to ensure that all of these various aspects of business analysis, there are ways and techniques you can be able to like deploy them to show within that. In some jobs here in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same thing in Canada too, there are times where you might be asked to like write a personal statement, or you might be asked to write a cover letter, or you might be asked to like write a very short, a very short essay or something that would show that with respect to the essential criteria this role is seeking, that you are a match or a fit for it. So here in our UK here, when you want to write those essays, I always advise pay attention to your vocabulary. One of the ways you can show you're an expert in any field is, on one hand, in terms of the vocabularies of that field that you're able to talk about in the most relevant context that they should be, knowing how to use word effectively and saying them concisely as much as possible is something that really shows you know what you're talking about and you know what you are going to be doing in this role. Second thing is that for any essay you are asked to write, you want to spend a lot of your time talking about the action and the task you took and less about the story behind the project. So think about your star approach. I would say the weight of that star should be at the center. You should talk more about what you did and how you did that, because that's the way you can show an evidence that you know what you're talking about with respect to this. Don't spend all of your time talking about the what, or my company was having this challenge, this and this and this and this and this and this, and then now you use just one or two lines to talk about what you did in that role. That's not going to work. Okay. And don't also spend a lot of your time talking about the results. Oh, there was a 60% in reduction, there was a 70% advantage, there was a this and that. What people want to see is, what did you do? How did you do it? What frameworks did you use? What artifacts did you produce? What outcome, did you drive, and how did you, do all of these things? And lastly is knowing that whatever it is that you are writing a continuous story. Okay. And this thing I talked about the other time too, in terms of some of the knowledge area in business analysis, there are things you also want to find a way to like show. Talking about vocabulary the other time, I mentioned that knowing how to use the right vocabulary is extremely important. For example, you don't want to refer to stakeholders as people, right? Using the right language of the profession is extremely important. Okay, you don't want to refer to a scope as what we are going to do. That's you wasting word count and using words that are not relevant to make a point that you don't need. So when it comes to like agile, for example, say you are asked to say something about agile, your experiences working in Agile. These are some vocabularies with respect to Agile we want to talk about, from velocity to talking about Jira, Confluence, story points, to the Amingo sessions, talking about things like use case, use case prototyping, playback, demo sessions, interaction with developers, your QA guys, and many of those different things. You want to spend your time just knowing some of these key vocabularies that will really help you. If you're trying to work in government, they are extremely big on writing business cases. The reason that is important is you need to bear that context in mind even before you start using AI. That if it comes to like talking about applying to a job in government, whether they ask me to talk about my experiences with business cases or not, I need to find a way to also to bring this thing up within the essay I'm writing. And talking about business case, these are some of the vocabularies I think you might want to mention. There are different kinds of business cases. There's the FBC, which is your full business case, outline business case. You want to think about things like options appraisal, risk analysis, benefit workshop, the preferred way forward, doing things, do nothing, BAU. Those are some of the vocabularies you want to find a way to deploy. The reason I'm saying this is so that when we get to that part where we want to use AI, even if it's not mentioning it, you can find a way to slot it into what you're trying to talk about. And those extra pieces of things are things that might give you some bit of advantage amongst other people who are also trying to like apply for the same thing. Now, somebody might be thinking to saying, how do I develop this vocabulary that you're talking about? There's no way you can develop your BA vocabulary, right, without like reading, right? One of the first things you can do is to read. This is a very good textbook to read. Babok, for example, business analysis textbook, BCS, is a very popular one here in the UK that you can also read. There's this book Ogi asked us to read one time like that around agile and business analysis. It's a fantastic book. I just finished reading some chapters in that book more recently, and I learned so much from that book, from the history of agile to waterfall, learning various vocabularies that otherwise I might have forgotten. This website is a very good one to Quizlet. So if you are preparing for any certification, there might be some things around it that might really help you. So you want to familiarize yourself with all of these, and there are things that will really help you to strengthen your vocabulary. So I'll show you an example of an essay I've written before. So this was me before AI, some years back when I was trying to get my first role. I was asked to write an example of a time where I was talking about my last project that I worked on as a BA. And I talked about this internship I did with Framet Consulting. We did worked on the LMS. So these ones I am putting in red are things I believe were good vocabularies. Again, I'm using the star approach, but if you look at what I've written there, the bulk of my writing, they are in terms of my actions and less about what is the story and what is the end result. It's and then you see me using things like needs, requirement, prioritize. They are good business analysis vocabulary, right? Me talking about prioritization techniques from Moscow to ranking to Kano to teacher sizing, right? Talking about researching, you have to do some bit of researching as a BA, talking about off-the-shelf solutions and talking about features, recommendations, and tools I have used. I'm not just throwing these in random ways. I'm telling a continuous story, and then I'm able to like depict all of these various vocabulary. And so this is also another job I apply for the role I was in before I got my former one, where I was doing all of these. So somebody might be thinking, so how do I do all of these things? First of all, is you need to like reflect about projects you've done before. In writing any good essay, for us as BAs, it's about using a project we've done before to make a case for a particular thing they want us to talk about in the essay. So they are saying, tell me an example of a time, tell me you have a knowledge of requirements, engineering or requirement management. You can't just speak all the English in the world without talking about a project you've done before. Another project, for example, you have been able to deploy all the various principles of requirement management within that context. Then you can also use AI, which is our focus for today. And then you can join organizations like Polats, where you can work on some projects and then be able to see wide range of projects you can use to talk about within your training. And lastly is you can spend your time speaking to some of your friends who are BAs, just trying to like hear them talk about things they do at work, the kind of project they do, the kind of meetings they participate in, the kind of artifact they produce, deliverables are demanded of them. And these are the various things that will really help you to begin to rethink how you go about these things. Because when you go to AI, it can give you something that looks daunting. But when you speak to people, their perspectives that you will get that will really help you better simplify some of those things that you've been hearing and makes it more understandable to like read. There's an essay I've written before I posted on LinkedIn. I would also say that if you have some time, just read through it. It's a way to also learn how do I bring all of these vocabularies and all of these things together, to be able to like make one thing. So now we are going into the AI session, but just to like give some context before I allow Hoge to just make some announcement before I then go more practically into the session. When it comes to using AI, different organizations have been laying out some different rules and principles in terms of how they want you to use it. In the UK, for example, there is what they call acceptable and the non-acceptable use of AI. They have defined their context for acceptable uses in terms of like, being able to like edit to ensure there's clarity in your work. You're able to like research about the domain, get no knowledge about things there, here and there. And in terms of like non-acceptable use to them, inflating your experiences, your skills, and all those different things. Those are things we'll talk about here so that even if you are using AI, you're able to better package yourself so that nobody is knowing that you are doing some of these various things. And again, this is like a live job here in the UK where they are explicitly talking about how you must use AI within the application. Now I'm going to go more practically into that session, but I don't know if Oge want to come up to make the announcements before I delve into the more practical parts.
Yes, I will do that very shortly. Thanks, Daya, so far. Can't wait to see the end of what you have in stock for us. But I will share my screen here quickly. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you've been learning a lot. Daya, can you hear me? I want to be sure I'm not talking to myself.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So just a brief announcement because I know maybe some people might drop off before the end of the session. I just want to invite you all to our community. We do have a community which you can join. Olamide, please share the link. And we're actually kicking off, starting September, we're kicking off a bi-weekly office hour. We'll see how it goes if we continue bi-weekly, depending on availability of resources and also people's engagement. So yeah, inviting you to join that community. And what we plan to do to support our alumni after this presentation from Dario is to start up a job application challenge. One thing we have also built for our upcoming cohort is what I call a resume assistant. So we've built a ChatGPT, you can call it, but tailored to business analysis terminology and all of that. Some people have tested it for us in the community and have gotten some great feedback. You can use it to create your brand new resume as a business analyst, and you can also use it to tailor job application. That will show you some things, and I also show you how to use this AI assistant personally. So if you join our community, you are going to get this free for the first 1 month to effectively apply for job, apply all the strategies that I will be showing you here. So I invite you to join. And of course, there are so many things you would also get being part of the community. And then we can also help you beyond the free webinars we do here. So other activities, other services we provide along for your business analysis career. We have one-on-one coaching. That is one of our faculty members for business analysis programs. So schedule, maybe you need help with resume review, interview preparation, or maybe work-related support. We have Emily Tom. Emily Tom is also part of our faculty, myself. We have Chidima also. So if you need some sort of coaching support, this is paid, but you can ask questions in the free community and get support as much as you can get. We also have webinars similar to what Dario is doing here right now. And then we are planning to start off focus masterclasses, which should, for example, we might decide to take a topic like process analysis, process improvement, and walk you through what a BA should do from beginning to end to end, so that you are really grounded if you have that kind of project to do at work or even writing a business case. But our key program is our business analysis career development program. We believe lots of people want to transition to become business analysts, but they don't have the practical knowledge. They've written certifications, they've gone to boot camps, they've read the BABOK and some other business analysis materials, but they are like, I still don't feel like I'm a business analyst. They don't have real work, practical experience. That is what we provide in our 10 weeks program. And we have LinkedIn profile optimization. We have a career coach that actually comes in to walk you through that, how to prepare for interviews, and many, many more. So if you're interested in that, please, you can send us a message, right? We'll drop the contact information, and I'm sure Olamide will share the links. Now, for anyone, if you know anyone that is interested in organizational change management, we have a program coming up from September 8th, and it's going to be a very practical 1 week session. For 5 days, you can build your OCM portfolio. But I can take this announcement at the end, but we'll share the flyer in the group. If you're interested or know someone that might be interested, kindly pass on the information. Dayo, please, I want you to continue right now.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll carry on just now. So let's pretend that you are based in the UK and then you're trying to like apply to NHS. And by the way, NHS is the biggest employer in the UK, employing over 1 million people. So it's one of our biggest employer. But the principles I'll be showing you are essentially what you would apply anywhere in the world, depending on, regardless of what roles you're trying to apply to, whether BA, OCM, or whatever it is you're trying to apply to. So anytime I see a job I want to apply to, the first thing I do is I download the job, okay? So you always feel like press your Control P, just for some of us who might not know how to do that. Press Control P, and then you see the entire job, say, on your phone. Then I'd like to personally, it's not like an hard rule anywhere in the world. I like to have like at least two AIs open. So for me, I like to use ChatGPT, I like to use DeepSeek, and I like to use Claude. When you start interacting with these different AIs, you will see that some of them have some strengths in certain areas than some other ones. But I would allow you to figure that out by yourself. So I've seen a job I want to apply to. So the first thing I always do personally is I like to see, with respect to the current CV I currently have, where does it stand? So I will upload my CV to the job, for example. So just for some of us who might not be familiar, so there is a plus button here where you upload and then you just upload. So I will upload my CV and then I'll upload the job advert. Okay, the two of them are right. I've uploaded there. So when I talk to AI, I like to talk to it as if I'm talking to a human being. People who have their preferences, but that's what I like to do. I'll tell it, rate my CV against this job advert on a scale of 10. And if I would be among the top 1%, sure. Okay, that's what I always like start to see. I want to see what is wrong with my CV. Is it good at the moment? And all of those things. I just want to see all I score. Evaluate it for me. Okay. So all of these are like English that they're speaking at the moment. So I like to see, let me see the number precisely that I'm seeing. It's showing me 8.5, all right, in some places, and overall, I'm seeing this one. It's saying that I will not be among the top 1%. It's saying that I will be in this place. I would never allow myself to be in this kind of thing, scoring 7/10, because I know there might be about 1,000 people applying for this job. So I always want to see how can I get 10/10. That is always what I like to push for. Again, I understand that what we're trying to do will look slightly rigorous and demanding, but in terms of your strategy for applying to jobs, I would say have some roles that you want to take your time to apply for, and maybe some other roles you want to like just be shunning out large volume application for. So it's a thing of quality and quantity. When you see a job you really like, take your time to apply for it. It may take time, but overall, I would say that sometimes they always yield better result for you. So the first thing we did here is to rate our CV on a scale of 10. And from what I'm seeing there, 5/10 in some places, overall 7/10. I'm not going to accept that. I dislike it. I always want to score 10/10. But this is one AI. Let's see what another AI, for example, might have to tell us. Again, I just want to make sure that I'm getting a balanced perspective on what's going on within my space. So this is, say, a CV I want to use, right? And then this is a job I want to use. Just the same prompt that we use in this place. I'll come back to it. I might just copy the prompt just to like save time. Okay, I'll just copy it like this. It's taking time to load. Okay, I'll just paste it again. I'm trying to see, will I be among the top 1% for this job? All of us on this call are applying to the same job. It's rating me 10 over 10, 7 over 10. I don't want to score 7 over 10. So I'm not going to now start by saying I want to revamp this my entire CV, okay? So I'm going to say I want to tailor CV such that I get 10 over 10, okay? And among most exceptional candidates. So let's start with only first experience. Right. So this is me just trying to tell it. Let's start with the first experience alone. The reason I'm saying the first experience is sometimes if you tell you to do everything at once, I have noticed my opinion might be biased or wrong. That the longer it writes, the weaker it becomes. So I always like to do it in bits. Just do it, look at it in terms of like set by set. So I'm saying let's start with the first job on my CV and write everything for me. So I'll see what it has done for me in this place. So this is what it has rewritten for me, okay? And it is saying that based on its own opinion, I'm going to score that 10 over 10. I look at it, it looks interesting. So what I would do is two things. I can either take this whole thing like this, okay? I'll go to this initial AI and I'll tell it what this other AI has done for me. It should rate it for me over 10. If it gives me 10 over 10, I think I'm good. If it does not give me 10 over 10, I'll look at this one it's giving me and then I'll try to improve it. And I'll say I have revamped so I'm just trying to look at only that first experience alone. I'm just trying to look at it. I'm just trying to see what is it trying to like show me, blah blah blah, all of those different things. So he's saying that the section is very long and detail heavy. Okay, that's fine. So those are things I'm going to spend my time on. So from what I can see here, I have scored like 9 over 10. I will now look at all of the things it's saying here and I'll try to improve on it. Second thing I want to tell you is always sense check everything this AI gives you. Sometimes it can mention metrics that do not make sense. For example, if it's saying giving certain metrics, so I did 100, I wrote 500 user stories, or I wrote 100 user acceptance criteria. You want to sense check that do they make sense and none of those things. This one I have here, like it mentioned the other time, it is too heavy. So I want to think, are there things I can remove in this place? Are there ChatGPT vocabulary I can take away from my words? The other day I was writing on LinkedIn, how do you know a ChatGPT word? Some people were like mentioning just some keywords they think it's ChatGPT related. So I want to take my time just to begin to then fine tune them. But I think what I have there looks slightly better than what I had before. And I'll just take my time just to fine tune and fine tune. Okay. So the second thing I'll do is let's go to the second job on my CV. Experience on my CV. But ensure that the experiences are unique and not anything mentioned in the first one above. So what I'm trying to say is when you are writing the second experience for me, I don't want you to repeat any of the things you previously mentioned. So that when somebody is looking at my CV, they are seeing a wide range of skills and experiences and know that this person is really very good and very thorough. So it's going to work on it and ensure that those things that I have here, they are new and they are unique. All right. And then I can then do exactly what I have done previously copy everything I have in this place like this. Okay. And then I can tell the other AI to maybe rate this for me on a scale of 10. Again, my point is I just want to make sure I score 10 over 10 first, and then I will now spend my time just trying to fine tune every single thing that I have here. Okay, so once I have anything like 9, 9.5, 10, I think I am all good. So it's saying that this one is 8.8. What is going on? So I see that something is weak in this place. It's saying that readability is not readable or recruiter friendly. So I'll just spend my time just to like see what can I do in this place. Okay, so you want to pay attention to some of those feedbacks so that you can really improve on that. So the reason I'm using two AI is this one thought that what it has done for me is very good. This other AI has a different opinion about it. And maybe when I'm then done with everything, I can then go to even a different or a neutral AI, upload the job, upload everything, and tell it to rate it for me. So the second thing I want to like call your attention to is there's sometimes you're applying for a job and they tell you to upload your CV. Okay, so I might want to say um list all the I want to see all the ATS word and this CV, because if I'm trying to upload my CV to a website that has like this ATS there, I want to see will it even pass the ATS check. All right, list all the ATS keywords. This will as a list for me. So I'm just trying to see. I want to see all the ATS word, the keywords that are in this, and all of those different things, blah blah blah. So there are two ways. One of them might be slightly like dubious, which because this call is being recorded, I'm not going to talk about. But maybe if we have some personal interactions, I can talk about it. So let's talk about the second way, which is like
Hi, Dio. Maybe what we
yes,
can do at some point, we'll stop recording at the end so you can just note the thought. We'll
okay,
stop recording and then you can share your thoughts.
all right, that's fine.
Okay.
So the second one is so you can take all of these keywords like this and then ask the AI like what percentage of these keywords are reflected in the tailored experiences you've done above. Okay. And I'll tell you my reasoning for doing this. So I was reviewing an essay for a friend who is applying to Harvard just some days ago. And the way I started by doing for this AI is I asked it, I'll try to, and this is a practice you might want to also follow. I first of all ask it, what makes a good essay to Harvard? So it wrote all of these various English for me. And I said, based on this thing you've done, rate this essay that this my friend has written for me on a scale of 10, and it rated it 6 over 5. It would have been a different ball game if I just pasted this essay there without giving it any context that I rate this essay on a scale of 10. It will not have anything in mind, okay? But by telling it, first of all, tell me what is excellent and define it. And then I said, rate this one I have done. And then we now saw that this thing I have done is not, it just is 6.5. And then we're then able to then build on it based on what is excellent from this context. So the same thing with this, we want to see. So it's saying that we have covered 85 to 95%. And I'm thinking, is this enough for me? Most ATS, for example, I think if you have like 60% of the keywords, maybe you might be good. Because I know it's an extremely competitive world, I want everything to be done. So by the time I'm done generating all my expenses, I will then ask it this question we ask here, like list all the ATS word. And then once it's then done, we can then tell it all the ATS ensure that they are reflected in this thing. That's one way. The other way could be for you to start by asking it, what are the various ATS words that this role is looking for? And for each experience that you are trying to recruit from me, try to impute all of them. So that's something you can do. And I think by the time you are done with all of this, your CV should be compelling or strong enough and it should give you some way bit of advantage than anybody else. Again, this is something that will take your time because as you move from one AI to the other, it might be a lot of work. And then you can then begin to then fine tune that experience. Second part I want to like quickly show you is with respect to I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, okay. So we've talked about this CV prompting and then cross-referencing to another AI. Let's say that we're trying to access AI. We're talking about a project-based approach, and I'm trying to think, what project can I say I've done before? So I'm trying to wonder, list 5. Okay, I'll come back to this one later. Let's look at the personal statements. So this is the job we're trying to apply to. Like I mentioned, with every job in the UK, they will always tell you to write a personal statement, provided it is within like the public sector. It is like a rule that like binds them. I don't know why this is not showing. I will have shown you another one here. But I'll tell you the thought process very quickly. Again, the same way we've done that our CV where we rated it first of all. I always like to rate that my personal statement too. So there's a personal statement I have written. I just want to see where it stands. Okay. I think this is a personal statement and I'm telling it, rate this personal statement. And maybe if I would be okay. I just want to see what is the strength of this personal statement. It's saying that I scored 5/10. You already see that this is very poor. I will not pass. They will not call me for this job if I apply for it based on this. And then I'm trying to see all the things that should be there, they are not there. So that's something I think you really want to like bear in mind. So when you're trying to do anything, whatever you're trying to do before you even start building anything, where does this thing stand? What would this thing be rated as, a scale of 10? And then you then know the work that needs to be done. So I want to talk about building projects, with this AI. And then we want to know how do I even build a project, with AI. I don't have much project experiences, none of those different things. So we can say, okay, I want to know relevant list 10 of them for me and do not explain them. Just a very okay. So I don't want to like say 10 projects I can say I have done. Right. So it's listing some project for me that I can say if I list some of these projects, they'll be very good on. Okay. Then I'm
Hi,
thinking,
Kristen.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt. Just I would like to mention that someone has asked a question that I think is synonymous to what you want to address, so that you can just address it in a holistic way. She's saying that, please, are you saying that all my job titles does not have to be business analyst? If I have done all the core duties of a BA, but my job title was not BA, how do I present that? And I think it is synonymous to what you want to address. So that's why I'm chiming in for you
yeah,
to.
absolutely. Thank you for calling that out. So I will address that at the end too. But yes, like I mentioned earlier, when you're trying to write your CV, some people decide to lie. They change their job titles. Some other people don't change it, but they look for experiences that they have that are related to business analysis, and that is what they call out. So I might say that you might not want to like tilt any of your experiences, but within whatever it is that you have done, what is the project you've been a part of in that thing, or what activities or what deliverables have you been responsible for that you can call out within that part. I'm sorry I can't see the chat except if you give me a shout if you want me to stop. Okay, so these are certain projects that you might think, I don't know any of these projects, and how can I say I have done what I have not done before? Okay, you'll find out that one of the biggest challenges we have in the BA space is lack of project practical experiences. And then you might begin to think, would this be a challenge for me? One thing you can do is to join an organization like Pollard, where there are always a lot of practical projects like always coming up. You can be a part of it and then begin to like build your project repertoire. The other thing you can do is to try to see what project are these guys even looking for and what can I do. Let's say, for example, you're trying to see one of the ones that you might feel slightly comfortable with, I can say, oh, I think I've done something similar to this before. It would be you giving yourself that project to do, that I just want to build my own experience in this and all of that. I think that building of a mobile app looks like an easy one. I can say you've done, not for the organization, but I think something you can build the knowledge around. And I'm saying, okay, I think I have interest in this project. And I'm saying, okay, I want to know if I say I've done this project, what will be involved? If I'm asked, what will I talk about? There are three things that can really like help you. Number one is think in terms of like what deliverables might I be responsible for if I were to do this. So you can think of, can I build a business case for this? Can I build a business requirement document? Can I build a functional requirement document? Can I build a software requirement document for this thing? So for this one, I want to build all of those three different documents I talked about so that I can read it and even understand it. So that if I say I've done this thing before, I can be able to defend it. I'll say, build me, develop a business so I can read everything to understand what might be required. Okay. Again, there is not one way to prompt it, but just bear in mind what you really want. What I want is for this project, I want to see the BRD for it. So that if I say I've done something like this before, I can defend myself. So I'm just trying to look at this and then it's building me a BRD for this. I'm looking at this. Again, I need you to know what a good document looks like, first of all, because if you don't know what a good BRD looks like, this AI can create whatever it likes, and then you would think that is what it should really look like. So you're looking at this. For some of you who already have some big experience, you already know that this is not outside of what you know. You know requirements, how to identify stakeholder, you know about some of these different things, you know about incident reporting, you know about your FRD, all of those different things. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I think this looks interesting. So you can also go online to read more about that project, whether there is anything close to it on YouTube that people have talked about, so that when you are saying you've done this thing before, you are not in any case lying anymore, because these are all the various documents even required of it, and then you read through it A to Z, and then it's something that I know that yes, I know this one, and I can comfortably speak to this. And I go further to say, build me an FRD, same project in a new document. Okay. Again, what I'm trying to do is just trying to look at just one single project, and I'm looking at what might be the big deliverables that might be tied to this project. What I'm trying to do is I just want to build understanding so that when I read this thing thoroughly by myself, I can talk about it anywhere, because it's like an hypothetical project I'm giving myself to do, and I'm just looking at it so that when they ask me, what did you do? I can talk about it, and I already have like various things, I'm looking at in this place. I can also forgo what I to say that build me a business case, all right, for these projects as well. So again, that is me also trying to build a business case. I'm just trying to see at a high level so that if I keep this thing for myself as part of my portfolio, I'm no longer lying because I've done the work theoretically to know what it is about, and I'm able to like speak to different things, with respect to like this job. So I can also ask it for a business case, and then I'm looking at it, and then it generates something for me. Then I'm going to like keep it for myself, as something that I might have. Okay, so I'm going to throw through this one here, and then I'm going to say just build me a business case for this, and then we do that. The reason we are doing this is so that when you are talking about certain projects, for example, even though you don't have the practical experience, you have the theoretical experience to be able to talk about it. And when they're asking you, what did you do here? You can say, I built a business case. How did you do that? Well, these were the various sections that I covered in that. What else did you do? I built a BRD. These were the various sections. You can speak to that project and you can talk so confidently about it. And lastly, you can talk about being an FRD or an SRS, and then you're able to like touch various deliverables that might be responsible for that. So if you read this thing alone, for example, I don't think there's any interview you might go that you might not be able to like speak extensively about. And that's going to take me to my fourth point tonight, which is about how do I build a personal statement? How do I build a cover letter? In my opinion, I believe that when you're trying to build your cover letter, or particularly within the context of this civil service, let's just talk about this same role we are looking at. When you're applying to jobs here in the UK, particularly in government, you will see this part they call essential criteria, right? I'll show you another job too, where they outrightly call out the essential criteria. I'm aware of time, so I'm going to run off very quickly. You'll see them talking about this part too, they call desirable and essential. And in case of Canada too, if it's a government job, you might see them talking about, with respect to this job, these are the things we really want you to have that core expertise in. When I'm trying to build my personal statement, I don't just like to write. I have good communication skills, so I can speak. People can understand me. People can know that I can talk well. People understand my English. I have British accent. No, I'm going to look at what is one of the criteria they are looking for. Okay, they want a BA with a complex experience in this. I can come here. I'll build a 250 word essay for this, and I'll tell the AI, okay, using the above projects only. Okay, write me a 300 word statement using this star approach that addresses this question. Okay. So I'm looking at that. Remember, we're trying to apply for this job. They are saying they want you to have experience in this. I believe in using a project to show that you know something, right? Using a project as a way to case in a point. So you are showing that I have knowledge of case project complex change programs. I'm not just saying I know it, but I'm trying to show that in a particular project, this is what I have done that can evidence this one. And that's what I have done, for example, this. So it has given me this. One thing you will find out about this AI, sometimes they don't know what counts, right? This thing I'm looking at, sorry, somebody is making noise there. Okay, thank you. Right, so it doesn't know what counts sometimes. So you're looking at it like this, you're already seeing, I think this is more than 300 words, but I'm all good and fine with it. So I would then copy this thing, for example, if I could open a Word document for myself, and then I'm then going to, if I paste it here, I would then spend my time just trying to like fine tune it, okay? So I would look at this, right, and then begin to like see how can I edit this thing. So I'll take away the situation away, I'll take away the task away, I'll take away the action part away, and then this is now where my own work begins. I will now begin to fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. Okay, so this way, if you do it this way, it's going to help you write a very strong essay than just saying I have knowledge of project change management. How? By working on this project. So in working on that project, what did you do that is showing that you have knowledge of complex change? What are the vocabularies here? So we are then looking at, these are the things I did. I orchestrated, I developed, I facilitated, I designed, I did this and that. All right. Here, for example, I'm not a big fan of writing too much big results. All the result I might write might not be more than this, but I'll make sure it is something relevant. But the bulk of what I'm talking about will be in this place. When you're then trying to then condense your personal statement or your cover letter, you would then focus on those different area and then use like different projects where possible to be able to like address that. So finally, let's say I know that I'm just past the time a little bit, so just indulge me a little. Let's say, for example, you've done your, I talk about this, I talk about case study. So I'll show you a case study that I did recently, and then I'll show you how I also use AI to rate it. So there was a senior BA role I first applied for, okay, where they gave me a case study. I'll show you the case study. There's a reason I'm trying to show that case study. Okay, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Okay, so they're saying that I need to respond to this case study, okay? This is the case study that through IT, they are trying to do this thing. I'll show you the case I designed. So I designed this to respond to that case, okay? This is what I did. I have used the double diamond. It just unfortunate that there's no time. I will have shown you how I created this with AI, and how you can also like use like an AI like Gamma, for example, to generate something like this for yourself by doing the preliminary work. So I have done everything that I needed to do, okay? And then I will now show you I have done the work. And I wanted, because I really, sometimes when I'm doing some work, I don't like to meet people to help me review it because I don't know what will work out or what will not work out. Okay, so I'm going to screenshot. This is the case study, okay? And I'm going to come here. I want to tell this AI to review that case, what I have done against the work I have been asked to do. Okay, this is the case study, right? And then I'm going to come back to the question I was responding to. Okay, I have read this case study I designed against the question the recruiter. So I'm trying to again rate this in against this case study, and I want to see. So he's rating me 6/10. I'm like, I don't want to score 6/10. So I always like to see. I'm not telling you what should I do to be able to like then do all of these things. That I'm again seeing all of these things and then do different things. But you see that this one is rating me 6.5. Let's see what another AI, for example, might rate me. Let's say I use DeepSeek, for example, and I okay, I'm trying to rate this using DeepSeek. So I'm going to copy the same prompt. Okay. So this is like a way, even if you don't have anybody within your professional space that can help you review your work, you can always like get insight from different AI and see what is going on. So I want to see what this one is going to rate me. Right. Remember that one rated was 6.5. So I want to see what this is. So this one is saying 9.5. So you see that something might be going on wrong. Okay, so just for me to balance the perspective very well, I can come to ChatGPT 2 and then do the same thing. I want to see what it is going to rate me, okay? And the reason I do this is so that you have perspective from like multiple sources so that you are not basing your decision just on one single AI, and then you are able to ensure that you have ticked your boxes and then you've done your part and just trusting God to like really help you with the rest of the process. I think I have used up all of my stuff for ChatGPT. It's not allowing me to. Okay, but let's just say I have uploaded the same job and the same everything here. I'm just saying rate this thing, and then I'm just trying to see what it's going to give me on a scale of 10. Okay, so it's not giving me any number yet. So I just want to see what that number will look like. But probably because I was not able to upload. Okay, so it's saying that I scored 8.5. The other one said 6.5. The other one said 9.5. This one is saying 8.5. So it means that something is lying to somebody, and I just want to make sure I work on all of that. The last part I will show just before I round up the session is, let's say you have done your interview, right? And I would have loved to just show you my phone here, but I don't think it will show. If you did an interview at home, okay, and they have not told you, for example, don't record anything, and just like you are not breaching any rule, right? They have not told you don't record anything. You just want to hear how you sound in that interview. You put your phone, your iPhone to recording, and you put it in your maybe somewhere slightly far away from you. You are not copying anything from it. You just want to hear how you are responding to question. You can pick your voice and all of that. In this your iPhone, when you press record, okay, there is a transcript where after you are done recording, okay, it's not showing. I've written about this on my LinkedIn, so you can check it out to make one of these days. There's a transcript button where you can copy all of the entire conversation. If you copy all the entire conversation, you just paste it here, okay? You just tell the AI, right, rate my response to each question on a 10 of, scale of 10, okay? And then you will now see exactly what is going on for that thing. So you can see at a glance, this response I gave here it is a 2/10 response. And then that way you can be able to better fine tune and prepare for your next, interview. The last part I wanted to say is, in case you want to generate questions, let's say you're preparing for an interview like this and you're trying to generate questions, I like to use Claude sometimes to be able to like support me in that. So again, I like to list out all of the various projects I've worked on, maybe on the documents. I'll upload the job, I'll upload my CV, then I'll tell it in a tabular format. Okay, in a tabular format. Tell me maybe like 5 competency-based questions might be asked in this interview. Okay, alongside 2 follow-up questions by each with the model answers. So then that would score me 10/10. Okay. Yeah. 5 competency question that might be asked in this event with follow-up question and model answer might drawn. Okay, drawn. All right, from my CV, they are both projects and my cover letter. So I'm just trying to prompt it this way, and then I'm trying to see what it's going to like give to me. So I'm seeing a question I might react, the follow-up question, and then the model answer. So it's already giving me this. If you look at this, looks very detailed. Now, I know the hard part, somebody might be thinking, Tosin, how do I memorize this? You don't need to memorize. Just try to understand the structure. And then anytime you have your phone with you, just pick your phone and start speaking to it. So if you look at this, look really very detailed. And then there are things that you could just like do when you have some spare time as a way to like, further support yourself. I know I've been saying a lot. These are things we should look at independently, interviews alone, cover letter alone. But having this high-level view can really support you in doing your stuff. And when you do all of this, even if you don't get a job, I'm sure you will be stretched, you will learn something. And those are things that will really support you in overall doing your job. That's where I will stop. I know I've said so much, but I'm happy to take any question and further clarify things in the follow-up classes that will get mentioned so we can better look at some of those things.
Thank you so much, Oludayo. Thank you so much for this in-depth, elaborate presentation. Please, can we say our thank you to Tosin in the comment section, or you want your mates, just show your appreciation. This is something people are paying for, okay? All right.
Thank you so much, Dayo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let me step in here briefly. Thank you so much, Dayo. But guys, I know this has been more like a fire hose. That is Dayo for you. He like opened up a fire hose upon you. But graciously, in fact, I have to say a big thank you to Dayo, because the bi-weekly office hour that we are starting, Dayo kind of pushed for it. I was saying, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I can do it, but Dayo, that's show you how he loves BAs and wants to see their best. So if you want to break down this more, I would invite you to join the community. We are starting at least the next 1 month will be job applications. That is what we want to do. And Dayo has showed you, I don't know how he navigates ChatGPT, Claude, and Grok, and everything, but we've made life easy for our BAs. So we have a custom GPT, which we have trained on BA terminologies. That doesn't mean you will not sense check the output the ChatGPT gives you, or you won't read through it. But at least it has made life easier to a reasonable extent. So please join the community. You will get a link and then have some level of accountability. So Olamide, if you can share that link to the community again, for in case when maybe some people joined after I made that announcement. You can, and if you master this, maybe you're not a BA on this call, if you're able to master this for business analysis, you can use it for any other area. But we have tailored a custom GPT. We're making this only available for 1 month. But for our core BAs, they have access to this. So if you want to really practicalize what you have heard like Dayo teach, join the community. Our first office hour will happen in 2 weeks' time, September 13th. So when you're in the community, you get all that information, and you can learn many other ways we can support you. With that said, I'm going to stop recording so that Dayo can share what he wanted to share off camera, and then you can also ask your questions. Or should we wait to take Olamide, is there any questions? Maybe we'll take it before we
we have 3 questions so far.
Okay, Dayo, let's do the question and answer, then we'll stop recording.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I will go to the first question. The first question was what I asked earlier, and it's, please, are you saying that all my job titles does not have to be business analyst? if I have done all the core duties of a BA, but my job titles was not BA, how do I represent that?
Yeah, I think I touched that very lightly the other time, but I'll say that again. Again, this is like how I have seen people like do something like that. So it is either they tell a lie by changing everything they've done, or the spotlight just by focusing on the BA thing that they've done, just like you have mentioned yourself. Or you can then go and look for new experiences and try to revamp like, the entire thing. The other thing I was going to say also say is about this project-based approach CV, where even if what you've done is not a BA, but you can write out a project within that role and then specify your engagement in that. But you might also want to like just be slightly diplomatic around it. You don't want to be a customer advisor and then you're saying you're responsible for producing the BRD or the business case, or you're the one writing out, the requirement document, or you're the one doing all the process mapping. Somebody might be thinking, where are the BAs in that project? Except if there is a way you can defend yourself within an interview and say, yes, the BAs were not there, or maybe I was stepping in for a BA, or maybe as a way for me to also like upskill myself. That was something I was doing. But I would think that you don't need to change the title, but if you feel like you have to change the title, maybe you might do that. I don't know what Oge thinks or anybody with my experience and myself on this call.
Okay, do you want to say something, or I should go to the next question? Okay, so the next question is for you, Oge. Someone is asking, will the recording be sent out, please? I need to leave as I am at work.
Yes, on Monday. By Monday, we should have the recording up on our YouTube channel. Please look out for that. Maybe we could send an email just for those that might miss it. So that if you're on our mailing list, expect to get the link to the replay as well.
Okay, sounds good. And the third question is to Dio. Thank you so much, Dio. Aside Gamma, what other apps did you use in creating the case study presentation PowerPoints?
Yeah, I mean, I majorly like to use Canva for my creation of PowerPoint. So if you have a premium version, there's some things you would be able to do on it that the premium will not be able to offer. But Gamma is also a very good one to use. I know there is beautiful AI, but I have not used that one before. So just to like say it more simply, I use Canva to like design my PowerPoint, but it will not create it like that where you saw it. You have to maneuver it. Maybe that might be some of the things we'll look at in the one of the classes that Ugi mentioned too, just how to like manipulate Canva to create designs for yourself. But if you don't want to stress yourself, you can use Gamma. Just do the analysis, then feed it, or upload the Word document to Gamma. It will create something for you. You can then begin to tweak it here and there. But I don't like to use it personally. But yeah, that's something you can do.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer.
Gamma is my best tool right now. I don't know why you don't want to use it, but oh my goodness,
Personal-
life has been made so easy with Gamma.
Yeah, so, and then, yeah.
Can you repeat that other question? I was trying to go back to it. The initial question you wanted me to chime in.
Okay, I would have to go back to that.
Okay.
Please give me a moment. It says, are you saying that all my job titles does not have to be business analyst? If I've done all the core duties of a BA, but my job titles was not BA, how do I represent that?
I would always say stick to your job title. Now go and convince the hiring, stick to your job title, right? Sometimes what I've seen other people do is maybe they were customer service officer. They would say customer service analyst, right? Just to highlight the analysis, what they have done in that role. But most times, if you speak with confidence during your interview and they know you and the hiring manager, somebody will always sense knowledge and confidence, right? They know you know what you are saying, you'll get that job. I know a friend, he didn't even change his role title. And then he managed to impress the hiring managers. And then when they were negotiating his payment, the offer letter and the conditions, and someone was asking, why do you think we should pay you this amount? And then he said back to them that even though you have not been a BA, they were like, why should we pay you this even though you've not been a BA, your prior experience? And he told them, the fact that I don't have the business analysis job title does not mean I have not done business analysis. And let's take it back to IIBA definition of a business analyst. It's anyone that has done the work of a business anyone that has done business analysis work, you don't necessarily have to carry that title to do the work. So sometimes I think we just need to equip ourselves with the right knowledge, be very confident in the fact that my job title was not business analysis, but I have done business analysis and really prove it. I think if you are able to convince yourself, in fact, I've seen Christians, they felt bad that they were going to be lying, calling themselves BA, but in their job title, they were not BAs. But in their experience, when they described their experience to you, they were actually business analysts. And when I highlighted that definition of IIBA to one of them, oh my God, he got a deliverance. He was like, okay, now I have peace. I can go and talk about this boldly. So please have knowledge and be confident in the knowledge you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, our pro coach. Yeah, and then the last question I have so far. Please, if you still have questions, you can drop your question in the comment section, or you can unmute to ask. Otherwise, we'll soon be winding up. And this question is from someone. She says, e.g., I am applying for the role of functional analyst. Should I maintain business analyst title or tweak the title to functional analyst, etc.?
I mean,
Do I go again?
I think we already mentioned that. So
yes. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, Oge, for hosting us. Thank you, Dayo, for sharing so much. Thank you for sharing openly and not withholding back. This is premium. Thank you so much. Someone is saying, please, is there any program like this for project management, Oge?
We now, okay, I need to be very careful answering this. Yes, we do have this kind of program for PMs, but for now it's on hold. Okay. And when we are ready to relaunch it, we'll definitely send this message out and you will get to know that. Okay. I think there's another question.
Yeah, so someone is saying, thank you, Oge, but we'll put in other job title grants you interview.
Okay, I personally cannot answer that question. If I show you my resume, it doesn't have all BA on it because I've done other things beyond business analysis. Okay, and have I gotten interviews? Yes, I have. But maybe other people have other experiences. I've done, let me tell you, I've done internal audit work. I've done finance work. I've done project management work. What other? Yeah, and
management.
Sometimes change management. Thank you very much. And do you know what? I have number one. Okay, so sometimes I have different resumes for different applications. That one is standard. Now I've worked on a project where I've done identity and access management, and I'm now applying for some roles, but I still maintain my BA. So when I'm describing myself, I'm a business analyst focused in this area. And the job title I will tell you that I'm applying for is not even a business analyst job title. So it depends on you. Some people will tell you they need to tweak their title. And I've told you someone, he was a customer service officer or a supply chain officer, what he did because he wanted to highlight the analysis in his prior job role. He replaced the officer with analyst. But he maintained the core of what he did. But I've always maintained my job titles and then tailor the resume because first of all, the ATS is the one that will do the initial filtering. But that's my opinion and that's what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Absolutely. And just like you're also like a BA, but you're tired of the business analysis world, you want to go into consulting. I don't need to change my title from a BA to consultant in that sense, because in some way as a BA, you're also doing consulting work. I'll just focus on that, my role as a BA, and then be able to write out all of those things. Because when you start changing title, it becomes tricky when you want to get reference. You have to start begging your friends in your company to write you reference. And if you work with some employers where all reference have to come from the HR, it puts you in a very difficult spot, especially if the new company even wants to go and do background check. You have to start, you'll be fretting because you've not had that experience. If you're keen on having a BA experience, I think programs like Polar's training are the ones that you can probably be part of, where you are able to like wear the badge of a BA, maybe volunteer BA in some sense, and then able to like have that BA again title you are looking for. You can also look for friends that have companies and intern with them, or do something with them to have that title. But I don't think you need to like change your title to be able to get an interview. It just depends on how you write your experiences. And I think that it's something that might be a determining factor for whether you're invited or not.